This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and in case you guys didn't know, in 2016, the Canadian government legalized medical assistance in dying, also known as MAID, and as early as March 17th of next year, 2024, they want to amend this law so as to allow for the eligibility of persons suffering solely from a mental illness to be able to apply to have the government help them kill themselves. And guess what, folks? This also includes substance-related and addictive disorders. Substance use disorders and addictive disorders, in other words, drug use, is now considered a mental illness in Canada, and those Canadians will be able to apply to have the government help them kill themselves, guys. The Canadian government has been on an absolute killing spree lately since this happened. To put the numbers into context here, in 2021, there were 10,064 MAID provisions, or people who applied and were accepted and went through with it, who were killed by the government in Canada, which accounted for 3.3% of all the deaths in Canada. Guys, this is absolutely outrageous. The number of cases of MAID in 2021 represent a growth rate of 32.4% over 2020, and in fact, it's actually more than that. I went directly to Canada, Statistics Canada, and here it is, their medically assisted in dying numbers. Medically assisted deaths in Canada rose by 35%. From 2020 to 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, again, as I said, they're on an absolute killing spree here. In fact, Canada's expanding MAID program is leading to a crisis in a supply of willing doctors. And I mean, thank God for that. There's actually some doctors out there who still have a conscience, and they understand that what's happening here is beyond wrong. I mean, remember the quadriplegic Ontario woman who was considering medically assisted dying because of a long ODSP wait times? So in other words, she realized it was easier for her to get access to MAID than to get the support services she needs. That says a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Or there was the fact that requests for medical aid in dying doubled in Quebec since the start of the whole pandemic. And in fact, the number of people who died in Quebec in 21 and 2022 amounts for about 9% of them are people who were accepted through the MAID program, guys. It's absolutely crazy. Remember the Canadian disabled man who was denied care but then offered euthanasia instead? This is an ongoing theme here. There was the former Paralympian tells MP Veterans Department offered her assisted death. This is a paraplegic former member of the Canadian military who shocked MPs on Thursday by testifying that the Department of Veteran Affairs offered her, in writing, the opportunity for a medically assisted death and even offered to provide the equipment. She just had a bad back and she wanted like a wheelchair ramp installed, and the Canadian government was like, rather than pay for that, why don't you just consider killing yourself, and we'll even pay for the equipment to do it. Guys, this is getting so bad that it actually got to this, where the Quebec College of Physicians were slammed for suggesting that MAID be used for severely ill newborns. Guys, Canada cannot begin killing babies when doctors predict there's no hope for them. Predictions are far too often based on discriminatory assumptions about life with a disability. Do you know what this is leading to and what this is all about, folks? Eugenics. This is the self-direction of human evolution. Guys, if you're not familiar with this, this is from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Eugenics is the selection of desired heritable characteristics in order to improve future generations, typically in reference to humans. Do you know what this leads to, ladies and gentlemen? This man thought he was doing the right thing by making the world a better place. And a lot of times people often wonder, how did this happen? And even more importantly, how did all of the German people get behind this? He was exterminating Jewish people because he thought they were, inferior and that the Aryan race was superior. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why the people got behind this is because at the time they thought they were being scientific and they thought they were being progressive. Well, it's no different today, ladies and gentlemen, as the Canadian government has just voted 167 to 150 against a bill that would, stop this from being able to happen, stop people who are addicted to drugs from being able to apply for help to get assistance in suicide from the government. It's absolutely crazy. Now, it's not all, happening yet. Amid these worries, Canada has gone too far. Parliament will re-examine the expansion of MAID for those with mental illnesses. So this isn't exactly happening yet, but they're certainly working on it, guys. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. We're going to talk about all of this and much, much more in this video. But really quickly, before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this info. Guys, here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies by clicking there. You can join me on Subscribestar for a reoccurring monthly contribution. You can also send e-transfers to dan@pressfortruth.ca. Or if you like to keep things old school, guys, you could send stuff to my P.O. Box. Links for all of this are located in the description below. Thank you so much to everybody who does take a little bit of time and effort today to support me financially here at Press for Truth. Now, I want to start with this, guys. If you go to my website here, you use the search feature at the top, and you type in MAID. You'll see some of the previous work I've done on this, like this exclusive Canadian government forced killings of the elderly at a hospice exposed. Guys, this is my exclusive interview with Angelina Ireland, who was heading up the hospice in Delta, British Columbia, who explained to me how they were organizing like death parties for the elderly. And when they, a bunch of, Christians were against this, the government was essentially forcing them to do it. I followed that up with this one. Government steals care home property for refusing to kill their patients. She refused to go along with this. And even though within walking distance from this place, these patients could have just went and gotten this MAID service elsewhere, the government was like, no, if you don't do it, we're just going to take away the property from you. And that's exactly what they did. And I followed all of this up with this one a little earlier this year. The Canadian government is pushing death via medically assisted suicide at alarming rates. And as you saw, the numbers, we're talking a 35% increase just from 2020 to 2021. And now if they get their way and they manage to now legalize this for people with mental illnesses, including people who are addicted to drugs, guess what? That number is going to skyrocket once again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's absolutely insane. We see here Canada to legalize euthanasia for drug addicts with no other illness in March. Canada is due to legalize euthanasia for people addicted to drugs next year in a move that most activists are comparing to eugenics. Yes, that's what we're calling it because that's what it is. When the country's law around medically assisted dying, or MAID, changes in March 2024, mental health patients, including those with substance abuse issues with no physical ailments, will be able to seek assisted suicide. A special parliamentary committee in the coming months is due to re-scrutinize the move ahead of the rollout, following the differing opinions between political parties in Canada. More than 10,000 Canadians were euthanized in 2021, a tenfold increase over 2016, when the practice was legalized. Some cases have involved people experiencing poverty wanting to die, or like I said, people who are just simply not getting the proper services they need, or people who are overwhelmed by the scamdemic, or people who just have disabilities and not getting the help they need, or people who just want assistance with like wheelchair services, not getting the help they need. This is what we're dealing with and talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It's just absolutely crazy. Now, as I said, it's not set in stone just yet. We do have Parliament looking to re-examine this. Ottawa, Canada is set to move forward with allowing mentally ill people to seek help in ending their lives, but the regime will face new scrutiny from Parliament before it goes into effect in March. All parties agreed on Wednesday to recall the Special Joint Committee on Medical Assistance in Dying to provide further oversight. The move came after a failed effort by a Conservative MP to repeal access to MAID for people who are solely underlying medical condition is a mental disorder. As of now, that cohort of Canadians is due to gain access to MAID in March, a looming deadline that is spurring renewed debate over whether it is appropriate. Of course, it's beyond not appropriate to have the government assisting in killing yourself, allowing you to kill yourself just because are suffering from a drug addiction, or you can't get the medical services that you need, so they're suggesting it's easier for you to just kill yourself. I mean, consider what's happening in other countries. Look what happened not long ago in Japan. This is a famous Japanese actor who was arrested for allegedly assisting in his mother's suicide. This guy's a famous Japanese actor. He was arrested on suspicion of assisting in his parents' suicide. 75-year-old, woman took sleep-inducing pills at his home and died of psychoactive drug addiction, thereby assisting in her suicide. And he was charged for murder because that's exactly what it is. Yet here in Canada, you have the Canadian government quite literally trying to amend laws that were already passed in 2016 that are just steamrolling this, death all the way. It's just happening so much. And now they want to open up the doors for people with mental illnesses like drug addictions to be able to kill themselves. Absolutely insane, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, you just can't make this stuff up. But when you look at the numbers, judging by the way things are going, it looks like the Canadian government is going to be the number one leading government performing, suicides in Canada moving forward. It's absolutely disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. So, as we said, this isn't over yet. Parliament will be reconvening on this, but it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. So I just wanted to bring all of this to your attention. Once again, if that's something you appreciate, don't forget to check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Again, you can do PayPal, you can do Bitcoin, you can do other cryptocurrencies, you can send stuff to my P.O. Box, you can do a e-transfer. The links for all of this are located in the description below. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. Click that thumbs up button. And stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.